Hello everyone, Alfredo here. Today, another LinkedIn Live, another training session off the cuff, improvised, as I usually do, because this is what I want to do. This is what I like doing. This is what I enjoy doing. Unscripted, improvised, but based on real experience. So today, we are going to learn my framework to manage gaps in Dynamics applications. What is a gap? Gap is when the client wants a feature or features that the system doesn't do, doesn't support, and so we have a gap, and we need to deal with that. Now, we often approach this issue, this problem, with either a fit to standard. We're trying to see if we can use a standard feature to address the specific requirement. And if we don't find something standard, we can extend the system, we can customize it, and there are different schools of thoughts. Regardless of how you approach the solution, we need to go through a sort of a troubleshooting, right? A critical thinking exercise that allow us to identify how to best address these gaps, because it's not we cannot use the same approach all the time, right? If we end up customizing or creating something new every time the customer asks us for something that the system doesn't do exactly right, exactly in the way they want to, then when we end up creating something completely bespoke, which is incredibly expensive and very difficult also to maintain, to manage. So this is my framework, as I wrote here in these in this LinkedIn Live. It's not fit to standard. I don't believe that fit to standard is actually the right approach. That doesn't mean that I want to customize or extend the system all the time. In fact, you will see that in this example, using this whiteboard, and this is an example from a customer that went live a few weeks ago. We will end up using a standard feature, but we're not trying to fit anything to standard. Let me tell you more about it. So we start with this challenge, right? You can see it here, and this is what I use. I use a framework that allows me to troubleshoot and to identify the root cause of this client request using a problem-solving methodology that looks pretty much like, you can see, this kind of layered approach. Root cause analysis, right? We're trying to go deeper into the challenge to understand exactly why, because the why drives the what. Why the client needs something drives what we're going to do to solve it, and how. So my client a few months ago, I was responsible for the training with him, not the solution design. But again, training and coaching and consulting often go hand in hand. So I ended up doing a bit of advisory, as I always do when I do training. Their challenge, they request item availability on the item list or the item card. The client says when we see a list of items, I want to see the inventory on hand, but I also want to see availability, not just what I have in my warehouse. I want to see what I can promise to my client. Now, this is a very common request. However, when we work with rather complex ERP like Business Central or Financial Operations, we know that the system calculates inventory and availability using complex scenario. And availability in supply chain management, inventory management, is not a just a fixed number. Availability is always time framed. So there's no such thing as availability. You might end up with something like a free stock, right? Stock on hand minus released or firm planned orders. But still, that is not availability, because availability is often event-based planning. It looks at a planning horizon. It usually goes a few weeks in the future. So, item availability on the item list or the item card is not a feature. And so, what do we do? Instead of saying, well, we can just add a new field, right? That would be the first approach. It's an easy one. Calculate the fields, couple of days of development. There we go. Now, that might end up being the right solution, but jumping into solution design once the client or when the client asks us, I want that new field, I want a new info, is the wrong approach. Because what we're doing now, we are trying to duplicate the legacy system, to replicate existing features. As easy as it might sound, it's just a new field, and a developer can probably spend 3 hours putting that field on a page. Is not a big deal. That is not the right approach, because we don't understand why. And if we don't understand why the client wants something that the system doesn't do, we fail to build a cohesive, comprehensive solution. We will end up with lots of small new things, and eventually the business process is not something that the users can support. So, what do we do? Item availability on the item list. We start asking why. And so, why do you want that? Well, because I want to see free stock, right? So, I want to see free stock info, okay? This is very small, so let me see if I can make it bigger, right? Maybe make it large. There we go. Do I have extra large? There we go, extra large. Free stock info. I want to see free stock. At this stage, the why is not enough, right? Because I understand the reason. Why do you want to see free stock? Well, the answer might be obvious to you, right? Well, free stock is because I want to know about it. Again, exactly why. Tell me why you want to know free stock, because it's not that a planner should know exactly what's available in their warehouse all the time. If you're a small and medium company with 2,000 SKUs, and I have customers with 20,000 items, I mean, do you really need to see availability of 20,000 items on a screen? Chances are that's not really what you need. So, one level deeper, right? Free stock. And what's the reason for free stock? Well, I want to know, sorry, what I can sell, or even better, what I can promise. And so now we're getting a bit deeper, right? Let me make it extra large. What I can sell or what I can promise to the client. Now, that might seem good enough for us. All right, well, it's order promising. The user wants to know what they can sell before they can raise an order, because what is about sell, right? What is about selling or promise? It's about customers orders. And so now we're getting deeper. It's no longer about inventory, isn't it? It's about order promising, right? Order management. And again, it's not good enough. Because if I give you a new field on the item list that tells you your free stock, and then I see that list and I take a phone call from a customer, and a colleague of mine see the same list and they get a call from another customer, right? And then if 10 people open the system, the main application, pretty much at the same time, and they all see that free stock field on the item card at the same time, they will end up promising the client, and all of them can see that same availability, which means all of them, the first one probably raising the order will get it right, but the others might not actually see it. And so you can see how we went from a field on a page to a business problem. Now we can see that the new field does not solve the problem, right? Because if 10 people log in the system at the same time, they all see the same data, they will end up overselling. And so they will promise something they cannot fulfill. So why, again, is the reason once again. So why do you want to see what you can sell or what you can promise? It might seem obvious to you, but let's elaborate for that. It might seem quite intuitive, right? Well, because the reason is that because I want to confirm the order. Let me confirm the order when I get an email or phone call from a customer, right? So let me make it bigger because I don't like how that goes. There we go. Confirm the order by getting an email or a phone call from a customer. Now we're talking about something rather interesting, right? Because the client operates with salespeople or customer service representatives on the phone, or they get emails, and they want to promise and confirm the order straight away because time is essential. Maybe this company's clients have options. Maybe they work in a fast-paced consumer goods. So if I call you and I want to raise an order, I want to know that you can deliver to me tomorrow. Maybe I am a chef. I work in a restaurant kitchen, and I'm placing an order, and I want to know if you can do it. I cannot wait 2 hours, right? Because I just got a booking from 50 people, right? That are coming from dinner and for dinner, and I need to know that I got stock or not. And if you don't tell me immediately, I will hang up the phone and I'll call one of your competitors. So now the reason is that we might lose business if we don't promise immediately. Now, this is now something else, right? The reason why I want to confirm is because I might lose business. I might not have the opportunity to actually sell. Right. And so, again, the reason why that might happen is because competition. Right? My customers can actually, right, order from someone else. Let me get it right. Competition. And so now we're getting deeper and deeper. So because of competition, because I might lose business, I want to be able to promise my clients immediately what they need to know. Wanting to know what I have in stock, if I can promise them or not the stock. So now, why is it, again, the competition is a big thing? So, because again, my business is undifferentiated and time is critical. And so my range, right, I operate in this industry where my competitors can offer something to my clients. So now we're getting to the very main reason why we need to get these availability. And so reason is that my products can be purchased elsewhere. All right, there we go. And so now we are getting to the core of this problem. We can go deeper, but hopefully now we get a better understanding of why the availability is an issue. But we also get an idea of this customer journey. Yeah, our client's journey, the user story. The user story, now that we have these 4 or 5 levels of why, it's no longer about a field on the item card. It's about confirming, I want to know my free stock so that I can confirm an order to my client immediately. And I need to do it immediately, because if I don't, I lose business because my products can be found elsewhere. Right. So now what we have here, we have a story. Let me go back to Business Central, and let me show you what this process looks like. This process does not look like I want to see my inventory availability here, because the user is not talking about or the entire range. Is talking to a customer. And so now we get into a user story. What is the user story? The user story is, as a sales representative or as a customer service associate, I want to know the free stock of my item when I talk to my customers so that I can promise them and confirm to them that I can ship what they order without ordering to me in real time. It's no longer about the inventory. In fact, you don't really need to look at the inventory. The inventory is the last thing you sell, you check after you create a sales order. And now we're getting into this story where the customer, the client calls or sends an email. I pick up the phone, and even before that, and when I pick up the phone, the customer says, "Hello, this is George from customer Artitum Corporation." All right, George from Artitum Corporation, let me find your account. Right. And now we're looking at the customer card. I really would like to place an order, but it's an urgent order. I'm like, okay, let me see. There are already 9 orders for you, for your business. And is there anything about an existing order that you'd like to change? No, I'm fine with the existing orders. I would like to place a new one, but I would like to know if item A, B, C are in stock. Now, this is where the user thought, I need to get into my item. I want to see my item list. I want to see my availability before I can confirm to the customer. But actually, you are already working on a new sales order for a customer. So why don't we just start with a new sales order for the customer card that says, yes, let me create a new order for you. No problem. Where would you like to need it? Where would you need it for? You need it for tomorrow? Absolutely. Okay, I can ship it to you. Request a delivery date tomorrow. No problem at all. So let me know, what would you like? And so now the customer says, I would like that, let's say the chair that I bought. In this case, it's a chair. Again, we're talking about the chef. But let me see. Maybe we can find something like a coffee. Do we have a coffee? Yeah, there we go. I really would like to see the... would like to hear to buy more coffee beans from you guys because I'm running out of coffee beans. Right, now that I put the coffee bean here, now from here I can now check the availability, and I can see availability by event or by location. I can tell you, well, the item is available from my warehouse. It's actually not available here, but here I can see where actually the item is available. I can find substitutions. Where is the substitution here? There we go. If I don't see the availability, I can see if the item has got a substitution. You can see an item substitution for this item here does not exist. And so from here, from this screen, from the sales order, now the user can see if the item is available. I can even I can even scroll through into the availability fact box. I can see the item is available, right? It's available, inventory is here. And if I click on item availability, I can see, right, that it's available in a generic location, which has got no location. And so I can actually confirm to them. So now the availability problem is no longer about a field on the item card. It's about a business process that supports the users throughout his journey, right? From when they pick up the phone to when they can confirm the client the order. Because again, this is what we are tackling now, right? It's no longer about the free stock info. It's about the ability to confirm the order, and because again, competition is high, and you can see with once the user can see availability by location, by event, and now if we have more time, we can look at the order promising, for example, demand overview, and now we have many options to address this problem, which is again no longer about a new field, but it's about the ability to get visibility of free stock so that we can confirm the order as soon as possible and we don't lose business. We completely turn the problem upside down. The field now has disappeared. It's no longer about a field, right? And you can see this is not even fit to standard, right? We're not trying to force the client to do something that they don't want to do, they don't need, just trying to fit them into a feature or set of features that don't matter to them, right? It's all about re-engineering the problem solving, going through using a specific framework so that we can find out essentially what the users can do. There we go. You can say order planning. It can tell me the shipment date, it can tell me when it's available, right? And again, from here, we can talk about the planning engine in Business Central. Will probably take a couple of days, right, to look at that because how complex it is. However, this is really beyond the scope of this workshop. So, in summary, and we can close it here, we can define here, we can see my framework to manage gaps in a system. We start with a field, a table, a feature that the system doesn't have or doesn't support. We don't stop at the problem, at the request, because we're not order takers. We're not trying to replicate legacy processes into a new system, right? We are advisors. We are consultants. We are problem solvers. So we go from the item list, the availability list on the item card. We understand the users want to see free stock so that they can sell or the right item to the customer, or they can promise the right item to the customer. They want really to confirm the order as soon as they get an email or a phone call from the customer, because if they don't, they might lose business. And they might lose business because the client might find competitors, and because again the products of our clients can be replaced, can be sold, can be found somewhere else. And so now we move away from a field problem and we move into a use case, a user journey problem. And so instead of looking at a field on the item card or on the item list, we go through the user's journey through a story, and we found that a new field on the item card does not solve the problem. It might be what the client requests, but like when you are at a restaurant and you've never been to the restaurant before and you look something on the menu that looks fancy, you say, oh, I'd like that, but can I have, can I change an ingredient, right? Can I have it with a different topping? Can I have it with less salt or something like that? And then you get it, and then you taste it and say, oh, you know what, it's not what I expected, of course, because you made a decision based on something that you don't know. And that's why you get, when you go to a fancy restaurant, you get the sommelier, right? You get the waiter who tells you, actually, may I recommend you pair this wine with that dish? May I recommend you, that cider with that? And you, as a customer, you let them tell you and consult you and advise you. And this is what we do, right? The problem is that we don't always have the perfect recipe, but we can make it as we go if we ask the right questions, right? 24 minutes on the clock. I hope you find it interesting on this Saturday afternoon. Let me know what you think in the comments here below, and follow me for more improvised, impromptu, off-the-cuff training here on LinkedIn and very soon on YouTube. I will tell you more about that in the upcoming videos. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of the day.